We will be recording. So we have a lot of information to share with you tonight. So we are going to get started. Again, my name's Susie Sabernick, and I'm Director of Alumni Club Operations with Purdue for Life. And just as a reminder, I did start the recording. And after this is over, we will share the slides as well as the chat and the recording on our resources website. We do ask that you mute, and if you have questions, to please put those in the chat. So our agenda for tonight, we have some university updates, and Jillian Henry is joining us, and so she is going to provide some updates as well. And we also are really excited for you to get to meet our new Senior Director of Alumni Clubs, Alenia Lutz, and so she will be sharing some information about herself. We also have created some slides on the board election process, just some guidelines for you to consider. So for those of you that are looking to hopefully get some new members on your board, we'll have some information on that and just some of our general reminders. So just some things happening at Purdue. The College of Health and Human Sciences has a new dean, Aaron Bowman. So he was appointed. That happened a few weeks ago. Any of you Bob Dylan fans, he's going to be coming to the Elliott Hall of Music on Friday, April 11th. And conveniently, that is the night before the spring football game. So if you'd like to do a weekend on campus and see Bob Dylan and check out the football game, you can plan on doing that on April the 11th and 12th. If you're not coming to campus, that football game is going to be airing on the Big Ten Plus network. So you can check out the new coach and see how we might do next fall with football. Purdue for Life updates. As a reminder, the Boilermaker Ball is Saturday, March 1st, and that will be in Indianapolis. It's a Mardi Gras theme. So if you haven't purchased tickets yet and you're interested in going, those tickets are still available. So you can go to the website and get those purchased. That will be downtown Indianapolis at the Marriott. And a couple of save the dates. The Purdue Day of Service will be taking place on Friday, April 25th. And also Purdue Day of Giving will be Wednesday, April 30th. So in the upcoming months, we'll share some more specifics on both of those, but just mark your calendar for those two dates. And so with that, I will turn it over to Jillian.
Thanks, Susie. Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's nice to see all of you and see your faces on here. Wanted to share just a few updates of what we have coming out of Purdue for Life. So I know some of you may have been in Naples last week. We did our Purdue for Life annual President's Council weekend. And in Naples, we unveiled the plans for the next Purdue major capital campaign, which is going to be called Victories and Heroes, your campaign for Purdue. So you may have seen some social media or news releases that came out this week. This is the only announcement that we're going to make for right now. I would call this kind of a soft launch. You'll hear a little bit more about it as we go into Purdue Day of Giving in April, but the real splash is going to be at homecoming, which is October 25th. So that's when they're really going to go into a lot of the nuts and bolts and really do the opening of campaign. But that has officially launched. The goal is $4 billion, and that is by 2030. So this is the largest campaign that Purdue has ever embarked upon. And we also know that we're going to have an engagement metric in the next campaign, meaning that we will not only just be counting dollars, we'll also be counting engaged individuals. So more information on that coming, but this is really a reference back to what we've been talking to you about with the engagement score, how alumni, friends, and fans are engaging with the university, not just philanthropically through their dollars, but also through their time, their talent, their volunteerism, and attending events, as well as opening communications. So that is near and dear to our heart. We know we can't do this work without our volunteers. So we're really excited to see that the campaign is also going to be talking about other types of engagement that aren't necessarily monetary. We're seeing a trend in this across other higher ed universities. There are many who are either in the middle of a campaign or getting ready to start a campaign. And this is what we're seeing from most. We're seeing that dollar amount, but we're also seeing either number of engaged alumni, number of engaged constituents, or even number of specific engagements. So more to come on that, but I think this is a really exciting thing for us. If you have a chance, I would definitely encourage you to click on that link below once Susie sends out this slide deck, or just visit purdue.edu/campaign. There is a fantastic video that was created about the history of Purdue and some of the heroes that really brought Purdue into fruition. I mean, I was a little teary-eyed when I saw the video in Naples, so I think I'll really like that. Take a look at that video. It's fantastic. The other thing I would suggest is as you scroll through that campaign homepage, there is a place to submit stories about your own heroes and victories. So if there has been a Purdue hero in your life that's inspired you, that's helped you along the way, we want to hear those stories. If you have victories that Purdue has been a part of, we want to hear those stories too. So there's actually a submission form, and then our marketing and communications team is going to reach out to individuals who've made those submissions. But a little different than campaigns in the past, the real piece of this is the Your campaign for Purdue. And so we're trying to weave in stories of all alumni into this campaign as it unfolds. So really exciting. We'll keep you up to date about what's happening with this. But this really segues into my next slide, which is why our president is now doing more and more visits across the United States. You can go to the next slide, Susie. So I mentioned this in last month's forum that our president is doing a lot of visits and that our clubs are going to be part of this. So he put out, and this was part of campaign, but we weren't really sharing a lot about campaign at that point because we wanted to announce that in Naples at his decision. And these visits are going to be kind of a fireside chat with Mung and an alumni that's living in that area. But all of these are going to be hosted by the clubs. So the clubs are helping to promote these events when the president is coming to their city. Many of you have already been part of some of these calls. If Austin and Atlanta are on the line, Washington, D.C., Colorado, LA, Orange County, Bay Area, we've had calls with all of these club leaders already. So up and coming are Chicago, Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. We're going to be doing those calls as well. Alenia is taking the lead on kind of scheduling some of those. So you'll hear more about that from her and from me as we go forward. But thanks so much to the club leaders that have been helpful on some of this. It's really nice to hear what kinds of locations, what has good parking, what areas to stay away from, because we're looking at events that are between 1 and 200 people coming to these events. So it's been really helpful to hear on the ground what are some of the best places that we need to be looking at. So up first is March 8th in Austin, and we have that event listing out there now. And so for those who are in Texas, if you are a club leader in Texas, we're actually looking to bring each of our club leaders from Texas together after this event if you're able to make it. This is a 12:30 event. I will be reaching out afterwards to any club leader in Texas, but our idea there is that President Chang is speaking at South by Southwest, a big conference that happens in Austin each year. After that, there is a reception at 12:30 p.m. And after that reception, we want to gather our Texas club leaders. I will be there. Alenia will be there as well. And we just want to hear from our club leaders about how we can help some of your clubs going forward and so that you guys can network with each other. So more to come on that. March 18th is Atlanta. Soon you will be seeing, if you're in the Atlanta area, you'll see the event listing there. As these events shape up into fruition, you're going to see those appear on our events page, which the link is down there below. You can always see those, but we are trying to cast wide nets with these. Most of them are all call receptions. So anybody who wants to come to these receptions is being invited. There's a small fee. It is $18.69 for the year that we were founded, 1869. So a small fee to get in. We do notice that people tend to come to events when there is a small fee. It keeps some skin in the game. So we are charging a small fee for that, but you'll hear the president talk in a fireside chat, like I said, with a local alum, and he will be talking into some first steps in the Victories and Heroes campaign. So again, thanks to those club leaders who are helping us to get this off the ground. I would envision an equally aggressive travel schedule by the president in the coming year. So this is just through the end of this fiscal year. But as he decides on more and more cities, we will be reaching out because we really do see the partnership of helping local alumni find out how to continue to engage beyond the campaign. Obviously, the work that you do each and every day to bring Purdue to your communities through your clubs, and we want to make sure that they know about that. Next slide. Finally, I wanted to give you a quick update about our Alumni Clubs Task Force. So many of you know that we've been working with a small group of club leaders to try to identify some issues that we have internally that we could make even stronger. We have gone through the club's survey that was sent out last year, and we've also been talking through what are some of the potential areas that we could try to address. So I won't go into all the details, but I do want to give a big thank you to Bob Thorley, Brett Hiley, Lauren Tomlinson, Lisa Pluckbaum, Jim Overman, Sarah Nash, Deanie Taylor, Julie Tovey, Michelle Crabtree, and Shelley Zhu. Each of these individuals have been meeting with us for the past few months just to talk about what's working, what's not working, how do we help understand some of the issues that the clubs are experiencing, and how can we make them better. So we've identified two areas that we really want to tackle first. Challenge number one is our processes. How can we improve our processes? And yes, I am talking about our internal Purdue for Life processes. We know that they are clunky sometimes. We know they're not so easy, and we want to make that better. So how might we improve those processes for club leaders to support them more? The very first thing that we're tackling with that is how to make the event and email submission system easier, because there's a lot of repetitive information that you're being asked to put in there. We hear that. And so we're working on creating templates for ease of submission. So more to come, but that is underway. Challenge number two is resources. We're being asked for a lot of resources. We have a lot, but sometimes finding them isn't so easy. So the second team is working on how might we provide resources to the club leaders to support them more. And the first thing that we're tackling is a toolkit. And in that toolkit, it would be things like job descriptions, board expectations, a clear understanding on the recognition program, trainings on email and event submission forms, how to remove trouble board members, how to recruit new board members, running elections, creating those templates, etc. So really having a toolkit so that when new or even experienced club leaders are in need of some resources, that there's an easy way to find them and that you've got some best practices to go off. So that being said, I'm going to go to our next slide because it's my pleasure to introduce our new Senior Director of Alumni Clubs, Ilenia Herrera-Lutz. We are so excited that Ilenia is with us now. She has been involved with the clubs in Chicago, and she's also been a network leader in Chicago for our Purdue Women's Network. And Ilenia is going to tell us a little bit about herself and what brings her to this role. So Ilenia, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jillian, and good evening. I love seeing many faces that I recognize in terms of club leaders. And yes, I come from your ranks, so I wear that with a badge of honor. Just really quickly, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. If we haven't crossed paths, we probably have 1 or 2 degrees of separation, I'm pretty sure, within the Boilermaker family. But I'm hoping to bring my experience from the corporate world, from people engagement, team building, process improvements, which we all, like Jillian said, really want to make your lives easier, to sort of, really re-engage with all of you, right? I think we have great values as Boilermakers and the vision and mission of our university, and to elevate the engagement, right, in our communities. As Jillian said, as you can see there, I know you all can read, definitely have been very involved long term. So I think this is kind of like my dream job, because it really combines my love of building communities and elevating those communities. And I am proud to say that I'm a third generation Boilermaker. My son is now at Purdue. So that is the third generation. So I wear that with a badge of honor. And yes, I met my husband at Purdue as well. So brainwashing works with our children. And we can go to the next slide. I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my vision and my priorities in terms of the club. I think we have some amazing stories and successes. And what I would really like to do in this role is amplify that success even further, and with kind of re-energizing even more. And we have a great excuse this year with the campaign and the visits and the work that you already have been putting in, and sort of what is sort of the value of being in our community, our traditions, and creating a culture of FOMO. Yes, why not? The fear of missing out. So people really see the value of those lifelong connections and connectivity with all of us. In terms of my priorities, after Boilermaker Ball, I will be starting to schedule meetings with each of the chapters. And really my goal is just to hear how are things going, what is working well, so we can share, right, among all of us, but also what are your pain points? And to Jillian's point earlier, how can we it's not about reinventing new processes just to reinvent. It's really, how can we make things that you use daily easier for you and remove those barriers? A lot of you, and this is along with the task force, want more resources, training and communication. So definitely focus on that. We have a wide ecosystem. Sometimes we all don't know what each other are maybe doing in the colleges or other, alumni and departments, how we can connect the dots better. So you all feel informed. And if you want to support other things or need support and vice versa, we can provide those connections. I keep on joking that in 3 years, the Generation Alpha is going to be 17 years old, and we're going to have 5 generations in the workplace. So how do we tailor our engagement with all of those pieces together? And last but not least, just doing an integration of our students, right? And how can we start integrating them to the clubs and expose them to that earlier? Because obviously, we are building everything that we do, right, for our current and future generations. So I would love to partner with all of you. How do we make that possible to engage those students, so we can have those younger Boilermakers in terms of kind of graduation years also kind of participate more with the club? So that is a little bit of my dream. Welcome any suggestions if you guys want to reach out to me as well. And if not, I will be reaching out right after Boilermaker Bowl to connect with you and welcome your suggestions and improvements. So thank you for the platform, and thank you for all you do. Back to you, Susanna, Jillian.
Okay, thank you for that, Alenia. We're excited that she's here. So we put some slides and some information together. We did some brainstorming meetings. We're already mid to late February. So again, for those of you that are looking to have new club leaders this year, we just put some things together to really help you with this process. So came up with a timeline and some best practices, things that you can consider doing for your board election. So the timeline, we're looking at March, April is really a good time to start looking at having call outs, finding people that might be interested in serving on your boards. May would be the election time. And then June is looking at that leadership transition with, again, our new fiscal year starting July 1st. Best practices. So decision how you're going to do your call out, if it's in person or if you're going to do it virtually, identifying and recruiting members, using newsletters, social media to help gauge interest, talking with people, and then deciding on how you would like to do your voting process. So we broke it down here into really three different ways that you can look at doing your elections. So option one is where you really just make the voting open to anyone. So we can send out information to all the constituents in your club area with people who are interested in the leadership positions, general board members, or committees. Option number two is general board members. So essentially, it's electing board members. And then the second part of that is then the board members electing the club leadership position. So president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, those sorts of positions. And then option number three is that all positions are voted on the board. And if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to put those in the chat. So pre-election guidelines, again, just deciding how extensive that you're going to make that election. As a reminder, the three required positions for the board are the president, treasurer, and secretary. But of course, you can have more positions, and many of our clubs do have that. Club officers should all be PAA members, so members of the Purdue Alumni Association. If someone isn't sure if they are a member or not, they can reach out to us and we can check you in the system to see if you have a current membership, whether it's a lifetime or an annual membership, and if it is an annual membership, when that would be expiring. Excuse me. Voting type, so you can do anonymous voting. So that could be done through a survey. It could be open voting in person, or we can also have it set up virtual where we can create a survey where people can submit their votes that way. That any club constituent can express interest in a position on the board. We recommend a 2-week voting timeline to really allow people enough time to review the candidates and then get their votes submitted. And then the communication. So we can send out one email to promote those elections. If we're not seeing a lot of action going on, we can send a second email reminder to encourage people to vote. And then again, we would encourage you to put that information in a club newsletter as well as utilizing your social media, so Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, whichever social media accounts that your club has. If you would like to do a survey, you can make that request to us. So Purdue uses the Qualtrics survey. So if you're not familiar with that, it's just the survey that we use at Purdue. If you would like to do that, you can email Leanne with the questions and how you would like that survey to look with the information. So her email is there. We also ask that you would copy our alumni club's email address, so that way we've got it covered if Leanne happens to be out. Things that we would encourage you to include in that would be candidate bios with 150 word maximum. So really an opportunity for those candidates to just express interest, why they're interested in the position, what their background is, what they can essentially bring to the board as far as experience and what they would like to get out of it. We would list all the nominees for the positions, so the leadership roles, the general board positions, as well as committee roles, and then including the date that you would like that survey to close. And so once that survey is built, we would collect all that information, and then after the closing date, then we can send that information out to you as the club. There at the bottom is just a little snippet of what the survey would look like. And so just some dates to keep in mind. So again, March and April is when we would encourage you to have call outs and have that call out process completed by April 15th. And also by April 15th, deciding on the type of election that you would like to hold. May would be that election process. So if you would like to do the survey, having that submitted to us by April 30th, and then having those election results submitted to us by the end of May. So then June can be that leadership transition time. So we're going to set June 15th is when you would have your updated club leadership roster submitted to us. So for those of you that have done that previously, that's submitting that online form where you are listing all of the club leaders, their email address, as well as the position that they're holding. June 25th, we would ask that everyone have the statement of integrity signed. So again, that's that online form that you just need to read through and then submit your information at the bottom, just to acknowledge that you have read that. July 15th, the bank statements would be due for the final quarter of the fiscal year. And then by July 25th, we would ask that that club agreement is signed by the president and treasurer and sent back to us via DocuSign. So again, with the fiscal year starting July 1st, the earlier we can get that club roster submitted. As soon as we have that roster, then Denise will be working to get the club agreement sent out via DocuSign. So both the president and treasurer can get that signed and submitted back to us. Once we have that signed agreement, then that really establishes you as a sanctioned club for the upcoming fiscal year. And just a few examples of clubs and some things that they have done with their process. So Atlanta has done a really great job just talking with people at different events that they host, just learning if they're interested in any of the positions. And then they also do an event, breakfast at one of the club leaders' homes, just as a nice way to bring the leaders together in person to get to know each other and socialize. Phoenix, it really does a great job with their elections. They were a club that did require bios to support their credentials for the role. They also did a survey for their election process. So that was a good way for them to get those people involved. And then Hendricks County did some virtual call outs. So they scheduled one during the day, they scheduled one in the early evening, just inviting people from the club area to learn more about positions. And so for anyone who was interested in serving on the board, it was just a way for them to get to learn more about the process and how how Hendricks County does that. So we've got some shout out photos there at the bottom. The one with the Purdue flag is the Atlanta Club. The one in the middle is Phoenix, and the picture there on the far right is the Hendricks County Club. So I will see, are there any questions in the chat that we need to address?
See any?
Okay, great. So again, obviously these slides will be posted on the website, so you can review them and definitely if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us and we can do some more reminders for you in the future. Just some other general reminders we have. Receiving club emails. So as you all know, we send emails out by zip code. And so every club within that zip code, when the emails go out, people in that zip code will receive those emails. However, we know that sometimes people would like to receive emails or notifications from clubs in different areas. So, for example, if you live in Indianapolis and you're a snowbird and you spend a few months in Phoenix and you'd like to know what the Phoenix Club is doing, we can opt you in to receive those Phoenix emails while still keeping you active with your home Indianapolis club. So, if you're interested in doing that, just shoot us an email at the alumni clubs at purdueforlife.org email address. Let us know the club that you would like to be opted into, and we can put that request in to make sure that you receive the emails that you'd like to receive. If you do ever have questions about not receiving an email, again, just please reach out and we can always do some troubleshooting for you and make sure that you are getting the emails that you would like to receive. Purdue license plates. So I'm going to give a little shout out to Denise. She's done a lot of research on this, and we've got the club or the website is now updated. So for those of you Indiana folks, you probably know that you are able to get a Purdue license plate in Indiana. It's $40 total. 25 of that will go to the general Purdue Scholarship Fund, and the $15 is the BMV processing fee. But other states do have Purdue license plates, so those are listed there: Delaware, Maryland, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. And we just added Ohio. So if there are any Ohio folks on here, that just happened within the last few days. So those states do offer plates. If you visit the website that we have listed, it will give you information on what you need to do if you are interested in getting a Purdue branded plate from your state. Unfortunately, if you are in Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin, they're not allowed. So you need to buy a little, Purdue branded plate you can put around your state license plate. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, they do not allow Purdue plates there. So again, check out the website. And if you are from one of those states, you can show your Purdue pride on your vehicle. Just some scholarship reminders. So for the clubs that are offering scholarships to incoming freshmen, February 15th was the date to have those names. I'm still waiting on a few clubs, so I sent a few emails today and I will send some reminders tomorrow. I am supposed to have those names submitted by this Friday. So just to ensure that those incoming freshman students have those scholarships included with their financial aid package. I need to get those names submitted to financial aid by this Friday. We have more of a cushion for those of you that review applications for current students. Those students have until March 1st to submit their application. And then I will get those names sent out to the clubs after that. March 1st is a Saturday, so those names will go out starting that Monday. But you have until March 31st to get those awardees back to me. The Division of Financial Aid will most likely be sending out their award notifications to incoming freshmen early to mid-March. They're not foreseeing the issues like we had last year with the delay of the FAFSA form. So we should be back to a more timely schedule for those award notifications. If you have any questions about scholarships, please feel free just to send me an email with whatever questions you have. Um, Other things, just again, the reminder, we do have our Alumni Club Leaders Facebook page. So we would love to have you join if you haven't done that yet. If you go into Facebook, just do a search for Purdue Alumni Club Leaders, click on Join Group. We have a couple of questions for you to answer, and then we will approve your admission into the group. So again, we would love to have you join that. Game watches, the final regular season email will go out tomorrow. Normally that would have gone out today, but we found out that there was an email from the Office of the President going out today. So the Game Watch email got pushed back, so that will go out tomorrow morning. The Big Ten tourney is March 13th through the 16th. That is back in Indianapolis this year, if any of you are interested in going in person. But as soon as we know when Purdue will be playing, we will get that information out on the Game Watch website. So if you do want to schedule game watches for the Big Ten tourney, and same thing with the NCAA tourney, once we know when Purdue is playing, we'll get that information on the website. So we can get those game watches posted for you. So we work a little bit more on the fly, just depending on when we find out that Purdue is playing. And we'd like, if you're able, just submit in the chat if you, again, have any questions or comments regarding the board election process. If any of you would like to share how you've done your board elections in the past, please feel free to do that. We also would like to just start collecting some best practices that your clubs do, as well as some successful events that your club has held. So again, we want to just start compiling some of these things so we can share out with clubs. Sometimes the best idea is a stolen idea. So if you've got a great event that works for you, please share that so other clubs can take that idea and do it for their club as well. And we also would just love for you to let us know topics that you would like us to address in upcoming forums. So if you have any ideas of things that you would like to hear about or learn more about, please submit that. So this is the end. So it looks like there are some things that came up in the chat. So if we need to address any of those, we can go ahead and do that now. And if anybody would like to unmute and just share verbally any events or questions you have, please feel free to do that.
Hi, this is Alan, Susie. I had something in the chat regarding if you had an idea on the Alumni Leaders Conference timing.
Oh, yes. Yes, the Alumni Leaders Conference. Let me just double check my calendar so I make sure I'm giving you the right
September
dates.
11th through September 12th.
I put it in there, Susie. The
Oh,
11th
perfect.
and Yeah, September 11th and 12th. The main programming is going to be September 12th. That's a Friday. But like we did last year, we're going to kick off with the reception on the night of the 11th. And then we will have an opportunity for clubs, networks, college alumni boards, PAA board to engage that day on the 11th if there's specific programming to the clubs or to the networks. But we'll kick off with that reception and then all day on the 12th. And we are getting a room block for that. I actually just got that confirmed with our director of volunteerism today. So more information will be coming if you do plan on coming to campus. Just to note, there is a football game on that on the 13th, and so getting rooms to stay through that football game are very difficult. So we've got a room block for the night of that Thursday night so that you could come in Thursday and then stay all day Friday. But if you are staying for the game, just know I would make plans for that very quickly because the block doesn't extend through Saturday if you're wanting to stay through the game.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jillian. Any other questions or things from the chat?
Yeah, you'd mentioned a spring football game. Who will Purdue be playing?
So that is the practice game that they do, so they won't be playing a specific
Oh, I see.
team.
They're playing each
Yeah,
other. Like it's basically a
yeah,
scrimmage. Okay.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question about the Purdue Alumni Association membership. I know in the past I've had conversation with people, and there's some people aren't interested in that. Is there a couple of questions there? One, is there a way, like we had the heat maps with all that were sent late last year with alumni in our area? Is there one that shows like percentage of those alumni that are actually Alumni Association members, so we can kind of gauge, is that 10% or 50%, get an idea. And then also just in general, maybe other clubs too. Like I said, I've had some conversations in the past with people that weren't interested in what are some of the, because that's where we've struggled to get people in the leadership because they aren't members, and what are some of the, the hints and things that people have to, show that interest, or what can we do there to get more people involved?
So the heat map, we can pull the numbers for the PAA members from your club area. I'm not sure if the heat map is able to do that, but we can definitely pull those numbers and let you know how many PAA members and what that percentage is. So if you're interested in that information, again, email the Alumni Club's email address. That would be the best way, just to make sure that we know that you'd like that information. And then we can get you those numbers.
Okay, thanks.
And Elenia just put that in the chat. Any other questions or anything someone would like to share about events? Okay. Well, again, we thank you very much for joining us this evening. As a reminder, we will get this posted on the Club Resource webpage. So if you would like to go back and look at the slides, or someone from your club wasn't able to attend tonight and they would like to listen to the recording, we will have that available for you. As always, please reach out if you have questions or need help with anything that you are planning or thinking about doing. We are here for you. So we appreciate you attending this evening. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Wednesday, March 19th will be our next forum. And again, forum topics, please feel free to send those our way as well. But again, thanks for attending and have a good evening.